What's up, sisters? It's your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the ultimate Gambit build for Baldur's Gate 3. If you've ever wanted to throw explosive cards, charge up kinetic energy, and smash enemies with style, then this Wild Magic Sorcerer and Kensei Monk combo is exactly what you need. We're going to be using Booming Blade infused staff strikes, force-powered card throws, and unpredictable wild magic surges, all while dashing around the battlefield like an absolute legend. This build is all about speed, style, and devastating damage, just like the X-Men's Smoothest Mutant. So let's go ahead and get straight on into it. For my character, I've gone with a human, just because Gambit is obviously a human, but you could pick any race that you wanted here. Wood Elf or Half Wood Elf would be great picks for the extra movement speed, while High Elf or Half High Elf would be good for early access to Booming Blade. Any modded race would probably work here as well, but it's completely up to you how you want to build your Gambit. At level 1, we're going to be starting with the Monk class. This is going to give us access to Flurry of Blows, which is nice to have in these early levels because it's such an undeniably powerful ability. The main thing we're going to be getting out of our Monk class, however, is the ability to scale our attacks with the Dexterity stat instead of Strength. Gambit's primary weapon is a staff, which in Baldur's Gate 3 normally uses the strength stat since they're not finesse. Martial arts dexterous attacks is going to allow us to be a little bit less multi-attribute dependent and focus primarily on our dexterity and charisma stats. For our ability scores, we're going to go with a score of 16 for our dexterity and also 16 for our charisma. We're eventually going to be dipping into the Sorcerer class for our spellcasting, so we're going to want to focus on that stat as well for effective spellcasting. I've also gone with a score of 15 for Constitution. The rest are more or less dump stats. We're going to go with an 8 in Strength, 8 in Intelligence, and 10 in Wisdom. For our proficiencies, I'm choosing Acrobatics, Stealth, and also Persuasion. At level 2, we're getting our Step of the Wind abilities from the Monk class, which is pretty standard stuff. We can use Patient Defense to spend a key point on our bonus action to give enemies disadvantage on their attack rolls and give us advantage on dexterity saving throws. Step of the Wind Dash allows us to double our movement speed at the cost of a key point, and Step of the Wind Disengage allows us to disengage with a bonus action and a key point. At level 3, we're going to be choosing our Monk subclass. I'm using the 5th edition Monk subclasses combined mod by some Redagnoth, so I have access to all of the supplemental subclasses from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Because of that, I'm going to choose to go with the Way of the Kensei, because this is a monk who specializes in combat with weapons. Our subclass here is largely irrelevant, so if you're playing on console and don't have access to this mod yet, you can go with any of the base game subclasses, Way of the Four Elements, Open Hand, or Shadow. It's really up to you. The main thing that we're getting here is just some basic monk abilities. For our Kensei weapons, I'm choosing quarterstaves, obviously, because we're going to be wielding a quarterstaff for pretty much the entire game. And also longbows for our second one, just because they're generally the best stat sticks in the game that we can get access to. We're also going to be getting a new skill proficiency here, and the only one that I have access to is performance, so that's pretty cool. We get a performance boost. At level 4, we're going to skip taking the Monk level 4 and getting a feat so that we can start becoming a Sorcerer. I haven't the slightest idea why, but whenever I multi-class into Sorcerer in my game, I get a +1 bonus to Constitution and a +2 bonus to Charisma, but I'm certainly not arguing. There's probably a mod that I have installed which is doing this against my better judgment, but that's okay. So I now have a 16 in Constitution and 18 in Charisma. If you don't have this boost, the original 15 and 16 are both fine. We're going to be choosing 4 cantrips, and I am going to go with Shocking Grasp, Booming Blade, Sword Burst, and also Thunderclap, just because these are fun ones that I want to take them. We're going to be imbuing our staff with Booming Blade a lot because Gambit is known for his ability to infuse his weapons and items with pure kinetic energy. For our spells, I'm going with both Magic Missile and also Catapult. Magic Missile is going to be our first attempt at infusing our playing cards with kinetic energy, and Catapult is going to allow us to infuse any random object throughout the world with kinetic energy and telepathically launch them at our enemies. For our subclass, I'm going with Wild Magic because I like the chaos of it and the ability to give ourselves advantage on attacks using Tides of Chaos. Storm Sorcery is another good option here for the ability to fly, but it's not as much fun as Wild Magic, at least in my opinion. Storm Sorcery is pretty fun, but I like Wild Magic. For our Sorcerer abilities, I'm going to go with Deception and also Insight, just so we have those two, which are pretty good options to have. At level 5, we're taking our second level of Sorcerer for a new spell and also meta magic. For our spell, I'm going to take Absorb Elements, which is going to enable us to imbue our weapon attacks with even more kinetic energy whenever we take elemental attacks. For our meta magic, I'm going with the classic Distant Spell and also Twin Spell. Distant Spell will allow us to increase the range of our spell attacks, and Twin Spell will allow us to make 2 of them whenever we use spells that allow us to do so. At level 6, we're taking our 3rd level of Sorcerer, and this is where we officially become the real Gambit. One of the spells available through the Mistress Spells mod is called Spray of Cards. We spray a cone of spectral cards that deals 2d10 force damage, blinding our enemies. Gambit is known for his ability to infuse playing cards with pure kinetic energy, so it feels like the spell was almost made for him. For meta magic, I'm taking Quicken Spell, so that we can do melee attacks and then cast spells afterwards with our bonus action. At level 7, we're going for our 4th level of Sorcerer, where we'll get a new cantrip, a spell, and also a feat. For my cantrip, I'm going to be taking Minor Illusion, just because it is very useful to have. For our new spell, I'm going to be taking Force Weapon from Mistress Spells. This is going to enable us to infuse our staff with kinetic energy, gaining a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, adding 1d4 force damage to our melee attacks. This is a permanent concentration spell as long as we hold concentration, so we don't really want to grab any other concentration spells unless we really want them and want to sacrifice having Force Weapon. For our feat, I'm going with Warcaster, which is going to allow us to maintain concentration on our Force Weapon ability that we just picked up. At level 8, we get our 5th level of Sorcerer, where we'll get access to 3rd level spells. For our spell, I'm going to go with Thunderstep. This is also from Mistress Spells, but it allows us to teleport ourselves and an ally, similar to Dimension Door. However, we'll leave behind a big 3d10 thunder damage AoE in the spot that we left. This means that we can make a quick escape from combat, forcing enemies to activate the second part of Booming Blade damage if they want to move towards us. At level 9, we get our 6th level of Sorcerer. This gives us our Bend Luck ability, which is nice, but most of our sorcery points will be spent on ourselves and our meta magic abilities. For our new spell, I'm going to be taking Chaos Bolt from Mistress Spells. This spell hurls a chaotic bolt of energy infused with a random damage type. Thunder type will just deal damage, but the other elemental types will have bonus effects and also deal 2 to 14 force damage. We're going to pretend that Chaos Bolt is our way of sort of drawing a specific type of card and then infusing that with energy and casting it out, whatever that type of card might be. At level 10, we take our 7th level of Sorcerer for 4th level spells. However, I'm going to be going with Psionic Blast from Mistress Spells because there isn't much for 4th level spells that I really want here. Psionic Blast deals 5d8 force damage, pushing enemies away and making them prone. At level 11, we mostly just get a new spell and a feat. You can go with whatever you want here, to be totally honest. Mirror Image is a good choice for extra armor class. Haste is a good option for extra actions, but it does take your concentration instead of Force Weapon. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Mirror Image. For our feat, I'm going to go with an ability score improvement to take a +2 bonus to our dexterity, bringing us to an 18 to become more accurate and more powerful with our weapon attacks. At level 12, we get our 9th level of Sorcerer for 5th level spells. I'm going to be taking Macabre Explosion from Mistress Spells, which allows us to imbue corpses with kinetic energy, making them explode for 4d8 necrotic and 4d8 force damage in a large area of effect. At level 13, we get our 10th level of Sorcerer. For our new cantrip, you can grab pretty much whatever you want. I'm going to grab True Strike, because reasons. For our spell, I'm going to go with Lightning Bolt, because it's a great spell more than anything. And for our meta magic option, I'm going to go with Heightened Spell, just so we have it if we want to use it, and give our enemies disadvantage on our spell attack rolls. At level 14, we get our 11th level of Sorcerer for 6th level spells and a subclass feature. Controlled Chaos allows us to trigger wild magic surges when enemies cast spells nearby, which is always fun because it doesn't cost anything and we can just do it. For our new spell, I'm going to go with Disintegrate, even though I probably won't use it that often. It allows us to imbue an enemy with so much kinetic energy that they probably just die. At level 15, we get our 12th level of Sorcerer for another spell and also a feat. For our spell, I'm going to go with Chain Lightning for a big area of effect damage, and for our feat, I'm going to go with the ability score improvement again, just for another +2 points to our dexterity stat. At level 16, we're actually going to switch back over to the monk, just so we can pick up another feat. and also the slow fall ability, which gives us resistance to falling damage. For our feat, I'm going to do an ability score improvement again to get us plus 2 points into charisma so that we can now have 20 in both dexterity and our charisma stats. At level 17, we're actually going to take one more multi-class. If you want a 5th level of Monk for extra attack, you definitely can, but since I'm mostly going to be using Booming Blade, which we can only do once per attack action, and will disable our extra attack, we don't really need it. We have pretty much everything that we want out of Sorcerer and Monk, so we're going to be dipping into the Fighter class. For our fighting style, defense is always fantastic for an extra +1 bonus to our armor class. If you want to do a little bit more damage, you could go with dueling if you wanted to, but I'm going to take defense for the extra armor class bonus. At level 18, we get our 2nd level of fighter for action surge to do more attacks once per short rest. At level 19, we're going to pick our fighter subclass, and since I have the 5e fighter subclasses combined mod installed, I'm going to go with the brute. The main reason for this is because our weapon attacks will now get a 1d4 bonus to damage rolls, which is great, using the brute force ability. Deal an additional 1d4 when you damage a target with a weapon that you are proficient in. We're going to be proficient in staffs, so we can get an extra 1d4 bonus just for having this subclass. If you don't want to go with brute, you can go with champion or battlemaster. Champion will give us a bonus to our critical hits, but I'm going to go with brute just because I like the extra damage rider we can get off of it. And finally, at level 20, we're taking our 4th level of fighter for one final feat. Since we have so many damage riders, I'm going to be going with the Savage Attacker feat for even more melee damage. But that's pretty much all for the leveling for this Gambit build, so let's dive into the gear and weapons that really make him come to life. For our gear, there's a couple different things that we want to focus on. For our helmet, I have the Diadem of Arcane Synergy equipped. When you inflict a condition, gain Arcane Synergy for 2 rounds. When we have stacks of Arcane Synergy, our weapon attacks will deal additional damage equal to the affected entity's spellcasting ability modifier. Our spellcasting ability modifier is a +5, so this means that we're going to get +5 damage to each of our weapon attacks, which is just nice to have. For our cloak, I have the Cloak of Displacement equipped. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. This effect lasts until the target takes damage. For our armor, I have equipped the Elegant Studded Leather, which has a 14 armor class base with a +2 bonus to initiative and advantage on stealth checks, as well as 1 free use of the shield spell if we so decide to. For our gloves, I have the Gloves of Baneful Striking equipped. Whenever you deal damage with a weapon attack, the target receives a -1d4 penalty to its saving throw against your next spell. Most of what we're going to be doing is hitting enemies with a weapon attack and then casting spells at them afterwards, so this is just going to be nice to be able to ensure that our spells will succeed. For our boots, I have the Evasive Shoes equipped with a +1 bonus to acrobatics and also to armor class. I love these boots and use them all the time. For our amulet, we have the Amulet of the Harpers, which gives us advantage on wisdom saving throws and also another free use of the shield spell, similar to our armor here. I also have the Ring of Protection equipped with a +1 bonus to armor class and also to our saving throws. And for our other ring, I have the Ring of Free Action, which allows us to ignore the effects of difficult terrain, and we cannot be paralyzed or restrained, which just is going to make us a little bit more mobile in combat. For our weapon, we have the Staff of the Ram, which is a fantastic weapon that you can get from Jaheira's house. It has the Staff of the Ram passive. Once per turn, the blow possibly knocks a foe back 2 meters and stuns them. This has no effect on dragons or huge creatures. Good thing there aren't that many dragons in the game, or huge creatures for that matter. The main thing that we're going to be able to get out of this is whenever we use this staff in combination with Booming Blade, we're going to knock our enemies back, which means that then they're going to have to move towards us, and when they move towards us, they'll trigger that second instance of thunder damage. Additionally, this weapon also does an extra 1d6 force damage with every attack, so that's really fantastic. Since you can only get the Staff of the Ram in the later parts of the game, once you get to Act 3, a fantastic replacement for this in the early game is the Cacophony Staff, which does an additional 1d4 thunder damage and also has 1 use of the Thunderous Smite spell. And we're going to be equipping a shield, the Swire's Sledboard. The shield shrouds the wearer with 2 turns of Force Conduit at the start of its turn in combat. Force Conduit is one of my favorite abilities in the game. Bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage against the affected entity is reduced by 1 per turn remaining. If the entity takes damage while it has 5 or more turns remaining, it deals 1d4 force damage in a 6-meter radius. The main reason that we're using this shield is because it gives us another boost to our armor class, but the Force Conduit is just going to allow us to reduce damage a little bit more since we are only wearing light armor. That pretty much takes care of all of the gear for this class, so let's pop into some combat and see what this character can do. So first thing is first, I'm going to use my Force Weapon ability for our concentration. If we use it at the original second second level, we'll get the +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls and deal 1d4 force damage. But if we upcast it to the 4th level, we can increase that to a +2 bonus and also 1d6 force damage. If you continue to upcast it to a 6th level, which is a little bit high because we only have one 6th level spell slot, you'll get 1d8 force damage and a +3 bonus. I find that we generally don't need that much and we only have one 6th level spell slot, so I'm just going to keep it at 4th level for the +2 bonus and 1d6 force damage. Now we're concentrating on it, and we can go.
Seen vandalizing someone else's property. Now would be a good time to justify your actions.
I didn't mean to do that. Damn, wild magic. Well, wild magic strikes again, and now we are on fire, and a lot of other things are on fire, and we're in combat. That's okay, we wanted to be in combat anyway.
You sure about that?
So the first thing I'm going to do in combat is come over to this lady, and I am going to Booming Blade the absolute loving hell out of her. 14 force damage, 14 regular damage, and 5 thunder damage. Let's go ahead and add in an action surge. And let's do it again. Baneful Strike, 10 force damage and 14 bludgeoning damage. And now, just so I can show it off, we're going to use a quicken spell so that we can activate our spray of cards using 3 sorcery points, and we're going to do it on these 2 right here. I'm going to upcast it to the 3rd level. Shazoom! She's dead. 21 damage and blinded, and now we have arcane synergy, so we're going to do more damage with our subsequent melee attacks. Healed it up. I've got our friend Psylocke over here just because she's also an X-Men. And it's always nice to have backup in case we need it. They're just going to attack her, aren't they? Nope, here they come. I'm going to Tides of Chaos here. She doesn't really need to do anything yet, so I'm just going to Misty Step over here and stand next to him. And now, what are we going to do? It's our turn again. So I'm going to go ahead and Booming Blade. Who wants to die? This guy has the lowest health, so let's go ahead and hit him. He gets knocked back with Booming Energy, and now I'm going to do something else. And now I'm going to use one of my key points to activate Step of the Wind Disengage, which allows us to disengage, and we can go ahead and jump away without triggering opportunity attacks. And we can just keep going. Yeehaw. We can Controlled Chaos because Ensnaring Strike is a spell. What's going to happen on this Oh, he got slowed. That's great. Sometimes they turn into sheep. Oop, they just died from the second Booming Blade. I don't need you to do anything yet. Let's go ahead and Booming Blade. This guy's got the least amount of health by 1. 11 Thunder, 12 Bludgeoning, and 16 Force damage. Let's go ahead and... These guys are all kind of right next to us, so let's go ahead and do a Quicken spell and 1 more Spray of Cards. And let's bump it to 3rd level again. And actually, I'm going to move a little bit closer first. Let's move here. Or no, not there. Right here. Now we can do it. 3rd level. There we go. Oh, I missed him. Oh, well. Well, now these guys are blinded. They took some good force damage, and we're going to end our turn. Controlled Chaos. Oh, I gave him an action surge. That's one of the things that just might happen when you go ahead and do your Controlled Chaos on him. You might end up giving your enemies an action surge. Booming Blade, he died from just having to move around. Let's end our turn with her. And now this guy's got 56 health. Let's hit him with one of these. Heck yeah, he's far back, and we got 12, 11, and 15 damage. Let's go ahead and use another Quicken spell so that I can show you what Catapult does. Catapult, I'm going to upcast to the 4th level so that we can do 68 bludgeoning damage. We're going to go ahead and grab like an item like perhaps this burlap sack. And now we can throw it at whoever we want. I'm going to throw it at this guy. Actually, he's going to have to move. He's going to die from the Booming Blade, so let's just do it to this guy instead. Boom, 32 damage. And we've thrown these little oranges everywhere. I don't know what the hell was in that burlap sack, but we threw it at that guy. End our turn. Controlled chaos again. I don't know why you keep doing that ability, bud. Oh, a Cambion. That's interesting. You idiot. Go ahead and hit her. Hit her again. Boom! He died from Booming Blade. Let's end our turn. And now we're going to Booming Blade on this guy, which is going to kill him. Critical hit, 24, 33, and 17. That's a lot of Booming Blade damage. Yeehaw, bud. I don't think we even have to do anything here. Let's end our turn. Control Chaos. Summon Mephit. He's got lots of demons on him now. You idiot. Oh, he's just killing civilians. Damn, Cambion. Okay. So like you don't need to do anything. I'm going to use a twinned spell here to do Chaos Bolt. And Chaos Bolt works a little bit like Magic Missile in the sense that it can curve to hit our enemies. So we're going to go ahead and do one on him and one on this guy as well. Please. Boom! 15 thunder damage and also 5 acid damage, I think that was. Where are you going? Controlled chaos, please. Oh my god! I summoned another Cambion. I gotta stop doing controlled chaos because it is gonna make things a little bit too chaotic. I am charmed though, so I can't attack this guy, but I can use catapult at the second level. I'm gonna take this barrel here, fish barrel. Oh, it's interrupted. Can't use that one then. Let's have this wooden crate. Oh, he saved. Oh well. I don't know what these Cambions are just fighting each other. Controlled chaos, please. Burning! Oh, I think that other guy died. Yeah, he died. Big time. Now I just gotta fight these Cambions. Hey! That's rude. Well, now I can use Psylocke here. Fuck you. Let's have her come kill this guy too. Damn, Psylocke's crazy. But that takes care of pretty much everything for this Gambit build in Baldur's Gate 3 using the Wild Magic Sorcerer, the Monk, and Fighter multi-classes. What do you think of this build? I think it's really fun, and I love that I get to use the Spray of Cards ability because I feel like it perfectly matches the idea of Gambit and being able to infuse playing cards with force energy that also blinds our enemies. Really cool and just a lot of fun. Gambit is a really fun character to roleplay as from X-Men. You also have access to a bunch of other spells here like Sword Burst and Thunderclap, which I didn't really show off in combat, but they're fun. Sword Burst is a big AoE that does force damage like this. We really have a ton of options for what we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and take a short rest here so we can gain some stuff back. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video and want to see more Baldur's Gate 3 modded build guides like this. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye!